Good morning, vinyl community. Phil at Destination Vinyl. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to my channel. This is going to be a short video. This is a contest entry for Chris Propfe's channel. Propfe. Sorry, Chris. He's having a contest. He's calling it the Vinyl Community 2021 contest. I don't know why I had to write that down. He's got 5 questions he wants answered. He wants to show an album that was released in 1974. An album that was released in 1988. 3 important albums from your collection and why they're important to you. And then he wants us to show our inner and outer sleeves, what we use typically. And question 5 is how long we've been in the VC. So let's go back to question number 1, an album that was released in 1974, which is the year he was born. This is from October 4th, 74. And this is Rod Stewart Smiler. That cover, the tartan there. And this is Sweet Little Rock and Roller, Farewell Sailor, Bring It On Home to Me, Let Me Be Your Car. There's a few hits on this album. It's not a bad album, actually. It doesn't seem to get the raves that some of his other works do, but it's still a good album, in my opinion. Question 2. Show an album from 1988. Chris, I watched your video. I can't remember the significance of 1988. I'm sorry, but I'll have to go back and look at your video again. But the second question is an album from 1988, and this is Tracy Chapman's debut. And plain back cover. And this was an awesome debut album. One of the best debut albums. It's not Boston debut album great, but it's up there. And it's got the picture and the lyric sleeve inside. This is a great album, arguably the most depressing album I've ever heard though. Every song on here is just makes me think, what was this woman going through and writing about when she conceived this album? But nonetheless, it is great. It is a great work of art. Question 3, important albums in my collection and why they're important to me. So that was an easy one. And actually I've got 4 albums because 2 of them come together. So the first important album in my collection was the first albums I bought with my own money, and I bought them at the same time, so I'm going to lump these 2 albums as one, Chris, okay? And that is the Beatles compilation albums from 62 to 66, and the Blue albums from 67 to 70. I think everybody on the planet who collects music has these, or some version of them. But these are the first albums I bought with my own money. I was born in England in 1963. We moved to Canada in 66, been here ever since, in BC. And so I grew up watching the Beatles on the Top of the Pops. Too young to remember it. But I grew up on British invasion stuff, and to us it was just homegrown. But my dad had all these 45s and a few albums from all this old British rock. And when I started showing an interest in music about the age of 11 or 12, my dad gave them to me and said, okay, here's an old turntable, and I spent hours spinning these things and playing them and working up the lyrics. It was just fascinating to me. And then I heard he had a few Beatles 45s, and I thought, wow, who are these guys? I got to hear more. So Dad took me to the store, and we're looking through the albums, and he says, here, these look like, these were just released, I think, at the time. I think these came out in 73 or 72. Excuse me. But I bought those with my own money that I'd saved up for a while. I think at the time they were $5 or $6 a piece. You know, 72, 73. Money went a lot further than it did today. So I'll consider that one. That's the first one of my 3 most important albums. Another second most important album, and that's my 3rd most important album, by the way. I'm doing this in reverse order. My second most important album is Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. And that's my original pressing. Still got the posters and all the stuff in it. It's showing a little bit of ring wear now. It's definitely had its day, but it's got all the posters in it still, untacked up to the wall. I never put posters on the wall, I always saved them. And why this album is important to me. Well, this album showed me that rock music doesn't have to be loud guitars and screaming vocals, and that it could just be more, that you could just put an album on and just get lost in it. and that you didn't have to have a bombast and a, all the hoopla going forward. It was just music, and it just blew my mind, this album. And this is my second copy of it. This is the 30th anniversary edition, which I think I bought for 20 bucks. Oh, this was back 20 years ago, yeah, whatever the 30th anniversary of this was. And according to Discogs, this thing's worth a couple $100 now. I've never played it. I always play my original because that was opened. But I've never played this thing, but it's got the posters and it's just in mint condition. And the third one, the most important album in my collection, is Queen, Day at the Races. Back cover. This is my original copy. I only have the one. And gatefold, shot of the guys in the band. And the reason this is the most important album to me in my collection, this is, if I had to grab one album when I left the house on fire, this would be the one I'd grab. I was 13, maybe 14, and I was at the Port Moody Public Library, Port Moody's little town we lived in, and I was looking through albums. I was starting to get an interest in music because of my Beatles albums and all the little 45s I had. And I'm looking through the albums and I saw this and I was just, okay, that's an interesting looking cover. And I opened up the gatefold and, okay, these guys look interesting. And, okay, I thought, okay, I'll pull out the thing and there's a picture of the band on the inner sleeve and the label again, the emblem rather. And, okay, this library is free. I'll take it home and give it a try. And from the moment the introduction to Tie Your Mother Down, which is the first song on the album, came on, I was just hooked. I was blown away, and everything changed for me. This is the album that launched me into serious music. It taught me that music could be orchestral, that it could be theatrical, that it could be anything I wanted it to be, that I didn't have to just listen to, these simple little 2-3 minute pop songs, that rock could be something different. And then I started really, after the third or fourth play of it, I think I drove my parents crazy playing this thing over the weekend I had it. But I started looking at this and I'm starting to read the lyrics on the songs as I'm going through it. And then I come to this side 2 track one, Somebody to Love. And I'm looking at this and I'm looking at the picture on this and I'm thinking, geez, he's not a bad looking guy. I mean, this guy's going, I'm not gay, I'm married, but thinking, he's a good looking man. And so why is a guy like that, rich and successful and famous and good looking guy, why is he having the right, find somebody to love? And I just didn't get it at the time until I learned his story, but it made me dig deeper into the story of Queen. And then I got into other artists, and this is the one that launched me. So yeah, this is my Desert Island album. This is the one that, like I said, if the house is on fire, I'm grabbing this one at all costs and I'm going. That, Chris, is the most important album to me. Question 4. Show our inner and outer sleeves. I don't use anything fancy. I do use the poly sleeves. They're just a generic brand. I think I just buy them in lots in the record store when I go there when I need them. You buy them like, they come in a pack of 100 for like 30 bucks. They're not the best quality, but I haven't ruined any yet. This is the inner sleeve. It's just a 3mm. And then I get this thicker outer 5mm poly sleeve on. And every record I have has it. Every single one. And I haven't had any of these tear. I haven't had... The only issue I have with these things is they are a little bit cloudy. Like you can see on my Day at the Races album, it gives it sort of a bluish, cloudy tint, as opposed to the color the album really is. That's my only complaint with them. But strength-wise, boy, I tell you, these suckers hang up. These suckers, you can't tear these things. I've tried. You can't tear these things. You got to get scissors or a knife to attack these things. So that works for me. Longevity is what I want, and endurance. I don't care about fanciness. Question 5. How long in the VC? I have been making videos for a little over 2 years now. My first video was June 19th, 2019. I did have a YouTube channel about 2 years before that, but I was just watching and listening and learning. I initially got into YouTube because I came home from a very unsatisfactory vinyl fair. You know, where all the guys get together and vendors get together and sell their albums, trade, swap, buy, whatever. And I came back from a very unsatisfactory one in Vancouver, and I found that it was cramped and hot, and there were a limited number of vendors because of the small size of the room, and everybody had their prices jacked way up. Everything was more expensive than what it really should have been, and I found I could have done better just going to surfing a few stores that day. And I didn't buy anything that day. I think I might have bought one or two most, because everyone was just too expensive. I think I was flipping through the dollar bins and the $5 bins. Just all the good stuff was just overpriced. And I started looking on YouTube at vinyl record fairs, and that just led me down the YouTube rabbit hole we all know exists. And I started looking up sleeves, and I started looking up what people collect and why they collect and how they collect and their sources for collecting. And here I am, 2 years later. I got something like 55, 56 subscribers, which blows my mind that people actually want to listen to me. And I enjoy watching a lot of videos. There's a ton of channels that I watch regularly. There's a few I watch every day. Just fascinating subjects that people get on here, and I'm hooked. So that's my story, Chris. I hope that answers your 5 questions. This was fun. This was a good idea. Interesting questions. So I'm going to leave this. I'll let you know that I did the entry, and everybody take care of yourselves out there. Bye.